One, are there any public speakers this morning?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We have two members of the public registered to speak today. The first speaker will be Kara Girl, following will be Murray Bowden.
Good morning. I'm Kara Girl, Research and Communications Associate at the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA PCAC. 13 public meetings later, the message from the public is clear. We need congestion pricing, and we need it now. An overwhelming number of residents from the CBD, outer boroughs, and upper Manhattan are supportive of congestion pricing if it means a stronger transit system and city. Even our friends in the surrounding region largely understand that the benefits of increased funding for transit and rail infrastructure and a cleaner, healthier region far outweigh the cost of tolling. We also have to make sure that congestion pricing actually brings in the funding that we're depending on to make the capital program a reality. The annual $15 billion from congestion pricing will help us avoid a grim reality for the MTA's financial future. Federal emergency funding will dry up sooner than we're prepared for, and without a long-term strategy like congestion pricing, everyday subway, bus, and rail riders will take the hit. Maximizing congestion pricing revenue is more than just crucial. It will be the lifeblood of the entire New York City metropolitan area, the region's economic engine. But the only way to ensure that happens is by allowing few exemptions and equitable implementation of the toll. None of us are exempt from experiencing the pollution, traffic congestion, and other issues caused by too many cars in the CBD. We can't give in to all the drivers who want exemptions. They must pay their fair share in tolls or make the switch to transit, Long Island Railroad, or Metro North. We did, however, agree with one complaint raised at most of the public meetings, that it has taken far too long. We can't afford to wait years for CBD tolling to start. The majority of New Yorkers know that reducing congestion, noise and air pollution, and increasing funding for transit and rail infrastructure is long overdue. The regional transit system our riders deserve is in sight. Congestion pricing with few exemptions and faster implementation is the only way to turn that dream into reality. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Murray Bowden.
I'm Murray Bowden. There's a lot of things wrong with me. One of them is that I can't hear when you have a mask on. So if you're going to speak, take your mask off. Yeah, I did my homework. I got the book. I read it all. I made notes about it. And then the Sunday Times came in, and on the business section is this gentleman who's in the mining, and he's developed the mining machine, that big one behind him, that runs on electricity. It's all about global warming. Everything that goes on in every meeting, everywhere, is under the understanding that we have to deal with global warming. Whatever you talk about today, whatever you pass, has to be looked at in what will be the effect on the environment. Every single thing needs to be under that cover. So I could describe in any one of a number of things that I was going to talk about, but more important is to say, how does that reduce global warming? Talked to a lot of people downstairs, other places. Travel a lot every weekend, go to other states, see what's going on. There needs to be a better awareness and movement to dealing with global warming. There is no other issue that tops it. So whatever decisions you make here need to be made under the understanding, how does this reduce global warming? I know, I can hear it.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes the public comment.
Thank you. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second? Are there any changes to the BTU committee work plan?
As stated at the September meeting, the August B&T financial report has been published for October. There were no other changes to the B&T committee work plan.
Thank you.
So good morning. So Murray, I'll speak loud. I'm going to leave my mask on though, but I'm going to speak loud for you. So good morning and welcome to the October 2021 MTA Bridges and Tunnels Committee meeting. I would like to start off today's meeting on a proud note by recognizing two of our bridge and tunnel officers who played a key role in our ongoing enforcement and revenue recovery efforts regarding persistent toll violators. Some of you may have seen recent news media reports involving one of our top violators who racked up $58,000 in unpaid tolls and fees while continuing to use our facilities. A coordinated effort that included our ITS and tolling, internal security, and operations departments enabled our law enforcement personnel to identify and stop this habitual scofflaw as the vehicle crossed the Bronx-Whitestone Bridge on the morning of October 1st. Bridge and Tunnel Officer Edwin Cabrera, who played a lead role in apprehending this toll evader, is joining us this morning, and Officer Alberto Gonzalez, who cannot attend, are receiving the department's Law Enforcement Award today for their actions to catch this persistent toll violator. Would Officer Cabrera, Commissioner Mack, Vice President and Chief of Operations Rich Hildebrand, Senior Director and Assistant Chief Ed King, Inspector Paul Leggio, and Captain Juanita Parker please step forward for the award. I know.
And the tow trucks are two of them right there.
So I heard the applause, but again, please join me in thanking our employees for their efforts and great job. Thank you. So as part of our robust toll enforcement, since the start of cashless tolling, we have interdicted more than 5,100 vehicles with suspended registrations due to excessive unpaid tolls and violation fees, and written more than 32,000 summonses for obstructed license plates. I would like to thank Governor Hochul for recently signing into legislation to increase the penalty up to $300 effective November 1st for knowingly obstructing or covering license plates. This legislation was initially proposed and supported by TBTA and provides an additional law enforcement tool. It applies not only to tolling facilities, but for enforcement efforts throughout the state. I also like to take this opportunity to remind our customers of the award-winning Tolls NY mobile app, which we learned last week has earned the International Bridge, Tunnel, and Turnpike Association's prestigious President's Award, in addition to the Toll Excellent Customer Service Award. On behalf of the project team and our entire agency, we are grateful for this recognition. The Tolls NY app provides customers with a fast and easy way to pay their tolls and manage their EasyPass accounts. EasyPass remains the most economical way to pay tolls, and the app may be downloaded free via the Google Play and Apple app stores. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge our operations, maintenance, internal security, and other departments who have been busy with coordinating preparations for this year's New York City Marathon, a city permitted event that kicks off at the Verrazano Bridge on Sunday, November 7th, after the event was canceled due to the pandemic last year. If there are no other questions, or if there is a question, again.
Thanks, Danny. On the penalties, the $300 that you mentioned for obscuring or partially obscuring your license plate, are they increasing penalties at every instance that you do this? Do you finally lose your registration after some point?
Right, the old law was, it started with $25 fine up to $200. The legislation now starts at $50 and goes up to $300. So
But
it gives,
there's no threat of losing your registration?
no, it's just a VTL violation, but the penalties went up by $100 for the maximum.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I'd like to turn it over to report on operations to Vice President Chief of Operations Rich Hildebrand.
Thank you and good morning. The report on operations in this month's committee materials begins on page 16. As the region continues its recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, bridge and tunnel traffic levels increased once again in August 2021, marking the 6th straight month of increased traffic at our crossings. Paid vehicle traffic in August 2021 was 28.1 million vehicles, which is 4.6% lower, or 1.35 million fewer vehicles than in the same month of 2019. Traffic was 15% higher than it was in August of last year, which saw 24.4 million paid crossings. For September, preliminary B&T traffic was 2% lower in 2021 than in 2019, and for year-to-date has been 8% lower than 2019. Easy Pass market share remains high at 94.2% of B&T's total traffic, which is consistent with 2020 but slightly lower than 2 years ago. Operations continues to focus on its back-to-school and work traffic patterns. B&T staff has identified a shift back to a more traditional rush hour travel pattern. Taking these observations into account, B&T is continually adjusting our operations to ensure the highest level of customer experience and service. B&T staff routinely patrols our facilities and monitors both on and off property traffic changes that may impact our delivery of service. Operations works with its departmental partners to ensure maximum roadway availability during times of peak travel.
Thank you, Rich. If there's no questions for operations, I'd like to turn it over to Pashko Kamaj, Senior Director of Safety and Health.
Good morning. The August report, which begins on page 32, continues to show performance metrics that are generally positive. B&T's current safety performance is slightly better than in a previous pre-pandemic period of 2 years ago. B&T safety report highlights include the following. Customer collision rates improved over the past 12 months compared to previous 12 months. B&T's 2021 total collision rate was 3.9 per million vehicles, which is 38% better than 2019 and 20% better than last year. The collisions with injury rate was 0.64 per million vehicles, which is 28% better than in 2019 and 21% better than last year. Employee safety metrics over the 12-month period are as follows. The employee lost time injury rate in July 2021 was 6.3 incidents per 200,000 work hours, which is 14% increase compared to 2020. Unless there are any questions, that concludes the safety report.
Thank you, Pashko.
You're welcome.
There is one competitive procurement this month. Lynn Gore, Deputy Chief Procurement Officer, will now present.
Thank you. Procurement start on page 70. Thank you. Procurement start on page 70. MTA Bridges and Tunnels has one procurement action being brought through the Bridges and Tunnels Committee for approval this month. There are no non-competitive procurements or ratification. There is one competitive contract in the amount of $21.5 million. This action is for an award of a competitively solicited miscellaneous procurement contract to develop, design, build, operate, and maintain the EasyPass interoperability hub to electronic transaction consultants in the amount of $21.5 million. The EasyPass interagency group will reimburse B&T 100% for the cost of these services. I submit this procurement action to the committee for approval.
Can I have a motion to approve this? Second. All in favor? Aye. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you. The materials for the financial capital program status reports are included in the B&T committee materials, and the appropriate staff are here or they're virtual for any questions you may have. If there are no questions, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Dan. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor? All right. Thank you all.